you really have to think about that and not the other person at that moment, but just you. What do you want? What are you doing?
And I think along with those lines, I think it's important once you know what you want, to verbalize that to the other person.
Hello, everyone. I'm Erica.
And I'm Akilah.
Welcome to HeartsChat. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of HeartsChat. So today we're talking about starting a new romance. So a few weeks ago, we did an episode on breakups. So if you were following those tips, or if you had already followed those tips and everything, hopefully after a breakup, eventually you get ready and you feel like you're in a good spot to start a new romance or to start thinking about starting a new romance. So we thought we'd share some tips and just our advice about starting a new romance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always exciting to start a new romance. It's kind of like, as everybody says, you get those butterflies and all that stuff, and you look forward to kind of hanging out and being with that partner, with that person. But I think one of the first things before starting any new relationship is to kind of make sure that you're fully healed from the past relationship. Because sometimes what will happen, it's more of a rebound relationship. And some people will need that, but it's kind of like, do we consider the other person's feelings?
Yeah. Now that's a good point. It's really important because some people will say, you got to get under somebody else to get over the person. Like you hear that phrase.
Absolutely.
So much, and I think it's temporary.
Yes.
Like that might help you feel better at first, maybe, but I think in the long run, it probably hurts you more than it helps you.
Yeah, because then it could get into some sticky situations and like people's feelings get hurt.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely important to be okay with being alone, to learn how to be alone. If you have to go from person to person to person, always have to have somebody, that's not healthy. You need that time for yourself to heal, like you said, and kind of just get to know yourself, like really get to know and think about what your next move is going to be.
Absolutely, because I think at that, before starting that new relationship, it's good to kind of look over like your boundaries, what you'll accept, what you won't accept, because then you're going into a new relationship with more of a stabilized idea of what you want and what you don't want. And then it's going to be easier to spot when you start dating and seeing other people if they're like, no, I don't really like that, or okay, I like this, let's see where this goes.
Yep, exactly. My question is always with anything, like my mom will call me and be like, she'll say, such and such happened. And she says, I thought about what you would say, like, what you gonna do? That's always like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? But so I think to myself, so you're starting a new romance. What now? Okay, what do you do? Like, okay, what you gonna do, really? I think the first thing is having a self-pep talk. I've mentioned this before. Like, I talk to myself, if I'm in the car or I'm by myself or I'm, thinking about like what I'm doing or my situation, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Whether you talk it or write it, but really have that self-pep talk. What do I want? Do I want a long-term relationship? Or am I just getting my feet wet again?
Absolutely.
Can I myself with this person? So there's just different phases of it. Like you really have to think about that and not the other person at that moment, but just you. What do you want? What are you doing?
And I think along with those lines, I think it's important once you know what you want, to verbalize that to the other person, because then that also gives you a clue as to if they want the same things that you want or if they're ready to kind of be where you are. So then it's not a waste of time for anyone.
Right, exactly. You want to know, are you exclusive? What are their expectations? Are you a couple? There's all that with starting a new romance. Because it's not, we're not calling it a new fling. it's, a new romance, a new
Yes,
person that could potentially be permanent in your life.
absolutely. No, and it's speaking of that, just kind of verbalizing, I know someone who kind of will tell whoever he's dating exactly what he wants or exactly what is needed at that point. And it seemed to really like help him
Uh-huh.
also be upfront and honest so that he's upfront and honest with himself as well as his partner. So it's like it's kind of refreshing in a way when people kind of just say, hey, like this is what I'm looking for. Are you looking for that? Because more often
Yeah.
than not, when we start dating, sometimes those conversations aren't even had.
Mm-hmm.
and then again, that's when feelings start to get hurt because there's no communication on what exactly is wanted. Where somebody might want a long term, and the other person's like, "I'm just here for a short time, just testing
Yeah.
everything out."
Yeah. That is refreshing. That's so refreshing. But I think it's also important to listen to what that person's saying.
Yes,
Sometimes you're like, well, they're doing this and they're doing that, and I feel like this, and I think, but listen to what they said because they could be dating you and pulling out all the stops and everything else, but they could also have told you, hey, I don't want anything serious. I kind of just want to, date around and see. You could be like, oh, they're spending all their time with me. But people, can make time. There might be somebody else they're spending time with, or you get like attached and you kind of fall for them when they kind of made it clear, hey, I don't want that. And then you're mad and you're like,
yes,
oh, you're mad at me. I clearly said I don't want that. But then at the same time,
absolutely.
that's something else too, because your actions, I guess, got to match what you say. But sometimes that's when it gets blurred because
Yes,
people are like that. They will say, hey, I just want like a nothing long term, but then they're doing all these things. So then you're like,
yeah,
but it seems like maybe you changed your mind. Well, conversation. Either way,
yes.
have a conversation. Like, okay, I thought you said X, Y, and Z, but it kind of seems like it's going this direction. So,
What are you thinking?
yeah,
Absolutely. I think that's the most important part. It's kind of the communication part to not just assuming, just ask.
exactly. I think another good point for starting a new romance is the gut check. Check in with your gut. Do I feel comfortable? Is it nerves or are those red flags? Am I scared of getting hurt or is it just something that's new and I'm uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to keep in mind too, because that can be scary. If it's a new romance, maybe somebody that you knew, just not in that romantic kind of way, maybe you might feel more comfortable. But if it's somebody that you didn't know, it's a new person that you met, that's something you really have to pay attention to, your gut and how you're feeling and how comfortable you are.
No, I agree with that because you most often our instincts will tell us what a person's about or what we need or how we're feeling. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a great idea to kind of check in with yourself and check in with your feelings. It's like, am I really feeling this, or am I feeling like maybe like I don't want to do this? Is this
Mm-hmm.
an excited feeling or is this an anxious feeling?
Right. Exactly. Definitely pay attention to that. And then another good thing with new romance is your supports. So we always talk about your supports because they're super important. So has any of your close friends met this person? Anyone that have
Yes.
met them, like, doesn't have to be family, doesn't have to be, but if maybe a close friend, and then what do they think? Not that it's going to make or break your opinion, but it's nice to have an outside opinion about things, especially when it's new. And maybe like if you were feeling uncomfortable and you're not sure.
Yes. Yes. I agree with that because, more often than not, your trusted friends will tell you the truth
Yeah.
and tell their feelings. And if you are feeling uncomfortable and unsure, you may be picking up on something, and your friends might be able to pick up on it too, or tell you like, "Oh, you're just being anxious. Like everything's okay."
Yeah. So it's important to have somebody to talk to. Do you have someone that you can talk to and just, share? Because they might be able to say, hey, seems like you're still upset about before,
Yes.
or hey, you know what? I'm glad to see that you're happy now. This is so good. Like, that's a good thing. I'm here for you, or whatever it is. Have somebody you can talk to about this.
Oh, yeah, I agree completely.
All right. Well, that's all we have to say about that. So we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to HeartsChat today, where we speak from the heart. We hope that you enjoyed our show. Catch us every Sunday and Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel and on our website, which is HeartsChatRadioshow.com. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages at HeartsChat Radio on Instagram and at HeartsChat on Twitter, Facebook, and Periscope.
We love to hear from you. If you have any comments or questions or topics that you want to hear about, you can email us at HeartsChat@HeartsChatRadioshow.com. And for all of your personal relationship questions, please visit my blog from ericasheart.com. Thank you for listening to HeartsChat, where we speak from the heart.